Hey there, I'm Brittany Schroeder, and business and marketing are my jam. I'm here to walk you step by step through this crazy thing we call business. I'm a small town girl, chocolate eating, Diet Coke drinking mom, marketing guru, automation Jedi, and all around good time. This is your weekly dose of all things business and life, sprinkled with some fun. This is the Redefine Business Podcast. Welcome to Redefine Business Podcast. I am so thrilled to have my guest on today. She is a client, a friend, a colleague, so many things. We've been working together and have a great friendship. And so I knew that I had to have her on the podcast. Welcome to the podcast, Liz Carroll, the founder of Mindfulk Money Coaches. Welcome, Liz.
Thanks, Brittany. Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here. I always love talking about money and business. So that's probably why we get along so well.
Yes, I love talking about money too. And we have been talking for 45 minutes before we even hit record. So we had lots to talk about. So that's always a good sign. Liz, tell my listeners just a little bit about who you are and just your history. What got you to where you are now?
Well, I was a hardworking farm gal that was good at making money, but I didn't think I was good at having money. So I had been told early on that I wasn't good with money by my parents, which I don't think that they meant it to be that way. Just like for me to inherit that limiting belief about myself, but I certainly did. And so I didn't have a lot of confidence around money other than I knew how to make it. I just wasn't really good at investing or saving, or I was really good at spending it. Let's just say that. So I decided to make a change. I wanted to be good with money. And so it took some effort and some retraining and dropping some limiting beliefs. And now I think I'm amazing with money. So.
Yes, you are. Well, and I love that, that's where we kind of have that common, like you grew up in the country, farm girl. And I love that because that is like, for me, and I assume for you too, is like you learn to work hard and you work hard for your money. And I grew up with that as like an influence in my life. Like I had farmer grandparents and I would help them on the farm. And I kind of chuckle because like my grandma was a bus driver and my grandpa was a farmer, but they were like millionaires. And, looking back now, I can see where, it's hard to become a millionaire off of being a bus driver and a farmer, but they got to the point where they had this nest egg and they started to make their money work for them. Their money was making money. And that is a huge concept, a huge thing that so many people are like, they don't have the knowledge. They don't have the education to say like, hey, I can make my money work for me. Right.
Yeah. Well, and my Aunt Verna is one of the people. I love my Aunt Verna. I just visited with her last Friday, but my Aunt Verna was the one that taught me about making money. In fact, she had quite a bit of shares of utility stock, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, how did you get all those? How long were you investing, or how'd you go about that?" And she's like, "Oh, that's not my money." She said, "That's my money's money. I took my money off the table a long time ago. This is all my money's money has made this money." So that concept, I thought that's exactly what I want to do. And
yeah. Well, first of all, everybody needs an Aunt Verna. Just that name, Aunt Verna, makes me smile, right?
Yeah. She's so good. Makes the best macaroni salad ever.
Well, there you go. Everybody needs an Aunt Verna for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that is, there's this like, it's a little bit of a misconception where they say, but it's true, but that the rich keep getting richer. And it's not because they're lucky. It's because they are good with their money. Like they have these tools, to make your money. Compound interest is a beautiful thing. And so it's just like having that education and it's never too late to start, right?
Never. And this is some of my clients are in their 70s and they're all of a sudden going, "Oh my goodness, I really have been sitting in avoidance for way too long." And But of course, we don't have as much runway at that point, but we can certainly make changes. So I agree with that. And I think of it as the diligence, the consistency that goes with old time values, those farm values that we've kind of gotten away from so much. And of course, part of it is because you can't go on Instagram or anywhere without being sold. We're constantly being sold. There's so many distractions or offers being made to us at all times. So we have to really be in line with our values and what we want our money to do. What's our end goal? So that's typically what I work with clients on, is letting them know or helping them discover their destination of what's their, like I talk about financial independence a lot because that was my goal. I decided at 30 years old, I wasn't going to live like that anymore. I felt like I was on a treadmill. I was, my husband and I had 2 little kids and we had built this big house. I felt like it was never enough. I couldn't stop, it was so fast. The consumerism, all of the things that we needed to have and furnish our home. And so one of the things that I did is that time was to set a plan, like, okay, I'm going to create a plan that I want to live completely debt-free. I want to college educate our children and then create enough passive income to make work optional in 20 years. So it was a 20-year plan. That was setting the destination. I didn't know how I was going to get there. And that's part of I didn't know exactly how it was going to happen, but once you have the destination, you're at least going in the right direction.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk to my listeners a little bit about, okay, you have 2 different types of clients that you work with. You have the one client who hasn't even started. They haven't done anything. Maybe they're younger and they haven't done anything. Give us a couple tips or tell us ways that you work with them. Do you talk about, hey, these are places that you should be investing? Give us a couple ideas of how you would work with somebody who hasn't even started.
Well, the thing is a lot of the women that I work with that haven't started are 40 plus. They have been sitting in avoidance for so long because their either worry or anxiety has kept them from moving forward on their financial journey, or they're just starting out. So you're right. There are some that are just starting out, but really the 2 different women that I work with, one is they haven't done anything yet. And the other is they're making really good money and they're trying to accelerate their exit as soon as possible from their corporate. So the first one though, I like them to see their math. I like to be that girlfriend that sits next to them with the heart of a yoga teacher. It's let's open up the accounts and see where you're at. Let's first just baseline it. Where are you at today? And is the current process that you're following, which inevitably it's not, get you where you want to go? Yeah. So then we have to make some small adjustments as to what processes they have in place for. A lot of that has to do with, I teach something called zero-based budgeting, which means we plan the money before it comes in. So when we do that on a monthly basis, and that just gives them some confidence of knowing what they want and does the math work, because we don't do anything greater than 5th grade math in any of my programs, but just sitting down to look at it, having someone that's sitting next to you or in a group setting where everyone else is going through the same thing, it really just gives everyone the confidence to open up and discover what they want and actually look at what they have today.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think you have to start with those foundational things looking at your, having a budget, understanding what's coming in, what's going out, what is wants, what is needs, and really assessing it. And then, the next step is, okay, making investing in your future a priority. So that's something that is, I think, really important.
Well, and I tend to not use the B word because a lot of people don't, there's so much resistance. There's so much
I can see that
immediate, oh my gosh, you're going to teach me how to budget. And my father, my mother, my husband, whoever, whatever has always told me that people on TV, gurus, whatever, about budgeting, and they get really resistant to that. So I talk about it as like the flow of money, like the tide. I live by the ocean. So it's like the in and out, the cash flow, the flowing of money in and the flowing of money out. So we just talk about planning that flow.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because it's true. Like, I don't know if I've ever had a budget. Like, I don't say, okay, this is what I have for this, what I have for this. I think that is how I've done it. It's more like the flow, where I've been like, okay, this is how much is going out. And, and I kind of just like watch and I prioritize, like I will say, things like, I don't eat out a lot. It's just something I just don't eat out a lot, And so to me, when I'm tracking and I'm watching that flow, and maybe there's times where I am eating out a lot, I'm just like, oh man, like I'm spending a lot of money. So I think it's just being aware too of, I think that, especially we're in the day and age of credit cards, where it's easy to not pay attention and not to have that awareness until you get the statement. Then you're like, oh, wow, that really racked up quick. So yeah, I like that. So, and then do you help them invest? Do you tell them what is like optimal for their age? Like, how does that work?
Well, I typically don't give investing advice. I do share what I have done. Real estate has been my favorite form of investing. And that's what I did alongside my corporate career the whole time my husband and I bought rentals. And that has what retired us early. It allowed us to achieve financial independence. When we first set our goal, we didn't know that was going to be the vehicle that would get us there. But that was by far for us was the fabulous vehicle. And we've refined our business quite a bit, our real estate business over the years. It took time for us to find our niche and a lot of trial and error, experimenting. And that has been, so I do share that, what I have done through real estate, which is probably why that other group of women that I work with typically are real estate investors that are getting ready to exit their corporate, like I did. I mean, they're following the path that I chose, which was to build wealth on the side of my corporate career, which was a great career, and I loved my career. It's just that the real estate, it got to the point where it exceeded what I was doing in my corporate career.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's figuring out, what you like. I personally like this. I like stocks. Like that's where I like to invest. I'm big into like investing in the stock market and, and in investments and stuff like that. So I think it really is educating yourself, figuring out, really understanding different ways that you can make your money like work for you. I even, one of the things is like, I'm a big travel hacker. I love to travel, and I travel hack with like credit card points. Like I'm constantly purchasing things online because I get more points. And I took my family to Ireland last year, didn't pay a dime for any airline tickets. I'm, going to go to Italy with my daughter in the spring. Don't have to pay for airline tickets. Like, so there's different ways like you can make your money work for you. And it's all goes back to just like education and like, learning, wanting to learn more about money and how it works,
Also being intentional. That's like really intentional. And that you're planning ahead. Like there's so much benefit from planning. Doesn't mean that the plan is always going to work. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But planning is, I think Winston Churchill says, planning is invaluable. And because it gets you thinking ahead of time. And the other part is being present, because the business name is Mindful Money Coaches. I mean, I am a yoga teacher. So I teach with the heart of a yoga teacher, in that we're working on mindfulness. We work on the breath. We work on being calm. We work on confidence. And that mindful is the awareness, right? The awareness, and then the clarity, and then having the vision of where it's going to go. So that's what I help people with, is really just sitting next to them and letting them know that they can take a breath and then open up the bank statement, and then let's make a plan.
Oh, I love that. Well, Liz, tell my listeners how they can get a hold of you, how they can work with you. What do you have coming up? Tell us the things.
Well, I'm at Mindful Money Coaches on Instagram and my website. The program that I teach is called the Mindful Money Method. So I teach a method, and I love teaching it either one-on-one or in a group setting. in January, I have a group live class coming up. So I teach it live. I love that because women like feeling like there's other women going through what they're going through right now. So we teach that in a group setting, and it starts January 10th. And you can find out more at mindfulmoneymethod.com. Awesome. But that is like it's really about that calm confidence, because our brain is naturally wired to worry. So we won't need to go in and take that default setting down, like if we're reprogramming our phone or whatever, and reprogram the mind. So we work a lot on the math, but we work on the mindset. And then we really access, what is that soul-driven desire? Or are you being influenced by things that you really don't want? And so that's where we really touch base with that soul, and making sure that that's included in your destination for your finances.
Oh, very good. Very good. Well, awesome. We will put all that information in the show notes so you can find Liz and find out more about what she offers and how she helps women with their money. So Liz, I have loved chatting with you. Before we end, I like to end all of my calls, my podcast, with asking my guests 2 questions. So the first one is, what is a pet peeve? Tell us your pet peeves.
Okay. So I was thinking about this. Just happened to me the other day. My pet peeve is people that park too close to my car. The other day I came out, I was visiting my daughter in San Francisco, and someone had literally parked right up to my bumper. Like I couldn't even back up. It was I couldn't even put my suitcase in the back of the car because I couldn't be there.
Oh my gosh.
So that personal space like that on cars or door dings, that
is. But I'm noticing some places though, the lines are like really close. Like I went and like at my daughter's school, I went and picked her up this morning, and I pulled in and I'm looking and I'm like, okay, I'm in the lines. And I'm like, what were they thinking with teenagers that they would put the parking spots this close? So that just goes to show, don't buy your kids nice cars in high school, buy them junkers, because they're going to be all dented up. So.
No. Sure. And so that's my pet peeve.
That's a good one. Okay. What's a simple pleasure?
Oh, my simple pleasure is definitely reading in the bathtub. That to me, warm bath, that's with a book. That's nice. Very affordable. And so that's my simple pleasure. The other thing is I really love taking the long way home. Like if the sun is out, I love just driving a little extra further. I like being in my car and the sun. I live in Oregon, so when the sun's out, it's like you got to embrace a long way home.
You got to embrace that. Yes, for sure. Yeah. Well, awesome. Well, Liz, thank you so much for joining us, and we will put all of her information in the show notes. Thanks, Liz.
Thank you for having me.
Let's not stop the party here. Head on over to my Instagram or Facebook group, Redefine Your Business, and let me know your thoughts about today's show. I will see you again, same time, same place, next week.